Have you ever stopped to think about what truly powers our world? Not the engines in our cars, but the silent, invisible engine that drives nearly all life on our planet. It's this fundamental cycle of capturing energy and then releasing it. And it's a process that connects the sun, every plant you see, and every single cell inside your body. Let's explore how it works.
So what is this engine? Well, it's not mechanical. You won't find any gears or pistons. What we have instead is a biological masterpiece, one that's humming along constantly, all around us and even inside of us. And the secret to this engine lies in the absolutely elegant partnership between two core processes.
And here they are, photosynthesis and cellular respiration. The best way to think about them is as two sides of the very same coin. Together, they form one perfect, continuous cycle. One process is all about capturing and storing energy, and the other is all about releasing it. Let's start with the first half of that cycle.
Okay, part 1, capturing solar energy. We begin here because this is the process that forms the foundation of almost every food chain on Earth. It's all about converting the raw, powerful energy of the sun into a form that living things can actually use. That process, of course, is photosynthesis. At its core, its job is to convert the kinetic energy of sunlight into stable, storable chemical energy, locking it away inside molecules. And this is absolutely crucial because, well, you can't just bottle up sunlight and save it for later. So where does this incredible conversion actually happen? To find out, we have to journey deep inside a plant cell to a very special microscopic structure called a chloroplast. This is the organelle, the tiny factory where all the complex chemistry of photosynthesis takes place. And really, the perfect analogy for a chloroplast is to think of it as the cell's own little solar panel. It's a highly efficient structure that's been engineered for one primary purpose, to capture the energy in sunlight. So let's look at the recipe. The inputs are pretty simple, right? They're abundant materials. You have light energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from the air around us, and water from the soil. Then, inside those chloroplasts, a complex chemical reaction takes place. And the outputs, well, the outputs are what make life on Earth possible. Glucose, which is a high-energy sugar, and as a very important byproduct, the oxygen that we breathe. Now, what exactly is this glucose? You can think of it as the main goal of the whole process. On one level, it's a simple sugar, but its real importance is that it's a stable molecule that now holds all of that captured solar energy in its chemical bonds. It's like a tiny edible battery ready to power the plant's life. So to put it all in one sentence, photosynthesis is the brilliant process of turning sunlight into food. It takes light energy and converts it into chemical energy, neatly packaged inside a glucose molecule. That's the perfect summary for this first half of our cycle. But that leads us to a really critical question, doesn't it? The energy is now captured and stored, which is an amazing achievement. But how does the plant, or for that matter, an animal that eats the plant, how do they actually unlock that energy to power their lives? And that brings us to the second half of our engine, releasing that stored chemical energy. Now, this isn't just for animals. Plants do this too. In fact, it's the universal method that most life uses to cash in on the energy that was stored in glucose. And just like photosynthesis had a special place to happen, so does energy release. It takes place inside another amazing organelle called the mitochondrion. You find these in both plant and animal cells. And if the chloroplast is the factory that makes the food, then the mitochondrion is the power plant that burns that food for fuel. Yeah, this analogy really helps make the difference clear. A solar panel captures and stores energy, but a power plant is what generates usable power on demand whenever it's needed. That is exactly the role of the mitochondrion. So how is this power generated? Well, the mitochondria produces a very special, high-energy molecule called ATP. That stands for adenosine triphosphate. Now, this isn't long-term storage like glucose. ATP is the direct, immediately usable energy molecule that powers almost everything a cell does. Honestly, the best way to understand ATP is to think of it as the cell's universal energy currency. If glucose is like a bar of gold locked away in a vault, ATP is the cash in your pocket. It's ready to be spent right now on anything the cell needs, whether that's contracting a muscle or building a new protein. Now, let's look at the recipe for cellular respiration. And this is where the beauty of the cycle becomes so obvious. The inputs are glucose and oxygen, which are the exact outputs of photosynthesis. Inside the mitochondria, these are used in a reaction to produce the main product, a huge amount of usable energy in the form of ATP. And look at the byproducts, carbon dioxide and water. So, to summarize this half of the cycle, cellular respiration is the process of breaking down glucose, releasing its stored chemical energy, and converting it into the cell's spendable energy currency, ATP. So now we can finally put the two halves together. And you'll see this isn't just two separate convenient processes, it's a single, incredibly elegant, and perfectly balanced symbiotic cycle. This table just lays it out perfectly. Photosynthesis stores energy in chloroplasts, respiration releases it in mitochondria. But the real aha moment is in those last two rows. The inputs for one process are the exact outputs of the other. The so-called waste from respiration, carbon dioxide and water, is the essential fuel for photosynthesis. It's just a perfect, self-sustaining loop. And we can see this exact same cycle playing out on a massive global scale. Plants produce the food and oxygen that animals need to live. And then animals use up that food and oxygen, and in the process, they release the carbon dioxide and water that plants need to live. It's like the entire planet is breathing in and out. You see, this isn't some distant, abstract scientific concept. It's deeply personal. The oxygen you're breathing in right this second was made by a plant. The energy you're using to listen and think about this was unlocked from food you ate, food whose energy ultimately came from the sun via photosynthesis. You are an active part of this amazing cycle right now. Which leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. It's a silent partnership happening all the time. A beautiful, cyclical exchange of energy and matter that connects a star 93 million miles away to the smallest microbe on Earth, making all of this, all of life, possible. A perfect engine running on sunlight.